Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Namaste experience on this very special day. As we begin our 4-day retreat here at the village, we have people arriving from all over the world to be here, as well as those who live here all the time. We are going to have a celebration. That's what this is all about, celebrating the fact that the light of God is shining in each one of us right now. Doesn't that sound fun? I mean, can you think of anything better to celebrate? The fact that enlightenment is but a recognition, not a change at all? In other words, you're already enlightened. Okay, we can finish the retreat now. It's already done. It's guaranteed. Only the time that you decide to receive it. That's the only question. How about right now? Yes. How about this being the moment, this being the day, this being the weekend, whatever it takes to say, yes, the light of God is shining in me now. So this is what we're going to experience. Now, we're going to do something a little different, but I think very special, because today is going to be all about frequency. We're going to be talking about frequency and feeling rather than thinking. I call this the 12-inch journey from here to here. We want to feel the frequency. Now, there is, those of you who come here every day or many times, you know that there is a prayer that we usually start our sessions with. We call it the prayer for the awakened. So this is the proclamation. And so we're going to share it as we usually do, but then I'm going to bring up 3 other people who are going to also share the same prayer, but in a different language. So we can hear and feel. Not the words as we process them through our intellectual mind, but to feel them in every part of us. So let me go ahead and put this up on screen so we can see it together for the first time. All right, so please join me with energy and enthusiasm. My soul has but one goal, to awaken to the truth that is forever true. My heart has but one desire, to remember the passion of infinite bliss. My mind has but one focus, to embrace the reality that is forever real. I choose to awaken now to the infinite love that is my source. I give everything to this love, just as it has given everything to me. I am awake now, right now. Okay, let me make sure everybody is muted. And we are going to bring up, as I said, 3 different people. And I'm going to start. Wouldn't it be nice to begin by hearing it in Spanish? Yes. So let's bring Jerry up. Jerry, let me bring it up on the screen so you can see it. Or do you have it on your phone?
I have it.
Okay. Why don't you sit right there? Right into the mic.
All right. Okay. En español. Mi alma tiene un solo objetivo. Despertar de la verdad que es eternamente verdadera. Mi corazón solo tiene un deseo, recordar la pasión de dicha infinita. Mi mente solo tiene un enfoque, abrazar la realidad que es siempre real. Elijo despertar ahora el amor infinito que es mi fuente.
I am awake now.
Sí.
All right, let's have our Dutch speaker come up now. Come on in.
I didn't write it out, but I can do it.
What I'll do is I'll put it right here on the screen so you can see it in case you need to do it
Yeah,
spontaneously.
Yes.
So this is going to be Dutch.
very spontaneous. Gebed voor de ontwaakten. Mijn ziel heeft maar één doel, om te ontwaken tot de waarheid die voor altijd waar is. Mijn hart heeft maar één verlangen, om de passie te herinneren van de oneindige vreugde en zaligheid. Mijn geest heeft maar één focus. Te herinneren de werkelijkheid. Die is voor altijd werkelijk. Ik kies ervoor om nu te ontwaken tot de oneindige liefde die mijn bron is. Ik geef alles aan deze liefde. En deze liefde geeft ook alles aan mij. Ik ben ontwaakt nu.
How do you say I am awake now?
Ik ben ontwaakt nu.
Ontwaakt nu.
Ontwaakt. Ik ben nu.
Okay, now in German. Come on up. One more.
We need
Ja,
to
that'll be
scroll.
good.
Ja. Mein Gebet für mein Erwachen. Meine Seele hat nur ein Ziel, zur Wahrheit zu erwachen, die für immer wahr ist. Mein Herz hat nur einen einzigen Wunsch, die Leidenschaft für die Glückseligkeit zu erinnern. Mein Geist hat nur einen Fokus, die Realität sich zu erinnern, die für immer wahr ist. Ich wähle jetzt, zur Wahrheit zu erwachen, die unendliche Liebe, die meine Quelle ist, ist. Ich gebe ihr alles an diese Liebe, genauso wie sie alles zu mir gegeben hat. Ich bin jetzt erwacht.
Amen. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So. Dankeschön. So, could you feel something moving inside you? I often think of it, now I've never been through this, so I'm assuming something here, but many of you have, that it feels like a baby inside, deep inside you, that's growing and moving, and you know it's there because it's moving. You can feel the presence of this sacred holy child, especially when you're full term. How many of you have ever been full term with a life inside you? Raise your hand. Quite a few. Even some of the men are raising their hand. Okay, it's a new world. It's possible, I mean, with everything else. And all of you who have had a baby know that when it's full term, it's full term. You can't hold it back, right? It's time. And this is the time. Guess what? This is the time of birth for each one of us. And if we choose, we can do that right now, especially this weekend. And that's our challenge. So, Vicki, why don't you come on up? And we're going to do something real special, but I want to get Vicki up here first. This is going to be definitely a unique, special session. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
So Vicki is in the house. How exciting. So Vicki, when she arrived here, she gave me a very special present. This little doll of the mother. You can see. And so it's so wonderful to have the actual mother here. I'm going to share a parable, but anything you'd like to say before we share the parable?
Oh no, but this was the most experiential moment of singing that song since James ever conceived or received it. The peace of God is shining in us now. It was experiential 100%. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, James.
Vicki was actually the very first person who heard that song when I decided, 10 years ago, that I was going to put all of the lessons from A Course in Miracles to music. Of course, I'm doing that again right now. But at that time, I had just put the lesson 188 to music, and I sent it to Vicki and said, what do you think? Should we go for this? Do I challenge myself to write 365 songs and put them out? She felt an immediate yes. And this is the same immediate yes that each one of you are feeling, because you wouldn't be here otherwise.
No.
You wouldn't be here otherwise. So, this is, I'm going to see if I can sum up without words what this parable or this moment or this weekend is meant to inspire. This is it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Happy deer in
Have
the
you?
headlights.
What was that?
Happy deer in the headlights.
Happy deer in the headlights. Yes. Have you ever had an experience where someone told you a joke, and you didn't get it, but they also didn't take the time to ruin it by explaining it to you? Because if someone explains a joke to you, it's like you get it intellectually, and maybe there's a giggle. But if they don't explain it to you, maybe an hour later, even a day later, suddenly, I got it! Have you ever had that experience? Suddenly it clicks in and you get the joke. So this is basically the momentum of this entire retreat, is to finally get the joke. The joke that you could ever be separate from God. The joke that you could ever be this weak, vulnerable body identity. That you are the holy, perfect child of God, and it's shining right now. Right now. So let me share this fun little parable with you, and then we'll talk about it. A joke is only funny if you get the punchline, Mother said. Oh, someone's getting unmuted. Judy, you're getting unmuted. I'm going to mute you myself. So make sure you all stay muted. A joke is only funny if you get the punchline, Mother said, once everyone at the ashram was seated in their seats. Is that correct? Everyone nodded, affirming that they understood. If I tell you a joke and you don't immediately grasp its humor, then I begin to explain what the joke meant and why it was funny. At best, you would offer me a polite giggle, but not the laugh the joke deserves. Is this still correct? Once again, everyone in the room nodded that she was indeed correct. In doing so, I've robbed you of something essential. No matter how well I explain the meaning of the joke, it will never be the same as you getting the joke. There's always a chance that sometime later, without you trying to understand, the meaning of the joke suddenly becomes clear to you, and you begin to laugh uncontrollably. But this cannot happen if you go into a lengthy explanation. You may understand the joke intellectually, but it won't make you laugh. Everyone in the room looked around, wondering if there was a joke that no one had noticed or understood. Mother realized this and said, "Now you're wondering if you missed my joke, yes? You're wondering if I hid a joke in a story or a parable, as I so often do. Well, I'm not here to tell you a joke, but you're here to tell me one. You're here to tell me one. Are you ready to hear the joke that you tell me every day, hoping I'll finally laugh?" The room was quiet, except for the sound of the ticking clock on the wall. Mother finally said, "The joke you tell me is that you're separate, weak, and alone." And I laugh out loud, because I got the joke the instant you shared it. But you didn't. You didn't get your own joke. So now, let me tell you a story that might help you understand. Once upon a time in a bustling city, there lived a young man named Arjun. Despite his outward success and popularity among his peers, Arjun carried a heavy burden within him. He felt disconnected from the world around him. as if he were merely a spectator in his own life. One day, feeling overwhelmed by the sense of isolation, Arjun decided to seek solace in the mountains. He embarked on a journey deep into the heart of the wilderness, hoping to find answers to the questions that weighed heavily upon his soul. As Arjun wandered through the rugged terrain, he encountered many challenges, steep cliffs, treacherous paths, and wild beasts that roamed the forest. But with each obstacle he faced, he discovered a strength within himself that he never knew existed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, Arjun stumbled upon a secluded cave nestled high in the mountains. Intrigued, he ventured inside and was greeted by a wise old sage who sat in meditation. The sage welcomed Arjun with a warm smile and invited him to sit beside him. For days, Arjun remained in the cave, listening to the sage's teachings and absorbing the wisdom of the mountains. One night, as they sat by the flickering light of the fire, the sage turned to Arjun and asked him a question that pierced through the layers of his self-imposed isolation. "Tell me, young one," the sage said, "what is it that separates you from the world around you?" Arjun pondered the question for a moment before replying. "It is my sense of self, my ego, that makes me feel separate and alone." The sage nodded knowingly. "And do you not see," he continued, "that the sense of self is but an illusion? In truth, you're not separate from the world around you. You are part of it, interconnected with all living beings." As the words of the sage sank in, Arjun felt a shift happen within him. Suddenly, the walls he had built around his heart began to crumble, and he experienced a profound sense of connection to the world around him. In that moment, Arjun understood the joke that he had been telling himself all along. The illusion of separation, weakness, and loneliness. And with this newfound understanding, he laughed with joy, for he realized that he was never alone, but always a part of the vast tapestry of life. And so, as Arjun descended from the mountains and returned to the bustling city below, he carried within him a renewed sense of purpose and a deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things. And whenever he felt the shadows of doubt creeping in, he remembered the sage's words and laughed, knowing that the greatest joke of all was the one he had finally learned to see through. The greatest joke of all is the one that you have finally decided to see through. And that's what's happening right now. We've been telling ourselves this crazy joke that could never possibly be true. Look around you at the world and see all the craziness, all the difficulty, all the terror. Could that possibly be true in the mind of wholeness, the mind of love itself? So this weekend is all about getting the joke. And we are going to laugh, and we are going to celebrate, and we are going to sing our way into heaven. So get ready. Vicki.
Well, thank you, Brother James. That's a great mission opening statement, isn't it? But it's not any more difficult than that. That moment of singing, we were connected, and we experienced it, and we knew it. Great line in the Course that says, "Don't forget to laugh." It's on our wedding rings that Teddy and I had done. Don't forget to laugh, but you can't fake it. It's got to be real. At the breakfast table this morning, Candy, where's Candy, was telling me, look at over there at the doves. There were two little doves. And all of a sudden, she saw more than the dove. She saw life. She saw life, and I'm sitting right there. It was so exciting. I think the lesson of the day is it's impossible to see two worlds. And what we do together when we join with one purpose, to see the light that we are part of everything. The other world fades away. It's just a fade out. When we join to do that, our joined purpose communicates and radiates to the whole world, visible and invisible. Janine, who's here today, also told me she looked at a picture, I don't know where she is, of her granddaughter, there she is, and she looked at this picture and the picture came alive. And she wasn't here in a body looking at a picture. She was one life with that baby everywhere, all at once, all the time. That's what we are. And our willingness to focus on only that, the invisible world, wherever we find ourselves, that's what frequency is. Facing and looking at everything, not avoiding anything, but looking through everything to the frequency that's already singing to us, inviting us to enjoy the song and sing with it. It's a song of love. It's a song of oneness. In our most desperate times, we know that love is a warm embrace. It's an inclusion. That's all this is. It's waking up to love that's ongoing all the time, part of what we are. And our willingness to do it together brings the experience, no matter what we think, and hopefully brings us into the laughter and the joy of it that emanates, radiates all through time and space. So I cannot tell you, I thank each one of you and you guys, my family on Zoom, for answering the call to join and to awaken to the holy beauty, truth, and love that is our natural identity, and not let the body and the world of forms and separation fool us anymore. That's all. Just don't let it fool you. Don't bite the bait and try to run with it and fix it. Just look at it and realize the underlying joy that's underneath the palace or the prison if we choose to recognize it. We got here by a choice of will to play a game of separation, and we return home together, holding each other's hands with a choice of will to no longer will to play a game of separation. We choose this moment, this day, to choose the joy of unity and love and peace and celebration and gratitude. So I thank each one of you for hearing the call, those of you that took planes and trains and boats and every which thing to get here. I thank you all. Some of you came on angels' wings. So those of you that recognize, Chris has some little tokens of the invisible world that he's going to pass out to you to remind you that life is all connected. We're not alone. That there are beings of joy and celebration, angels of light who are here to help us. They don't want to stay unemployed. They want to work with us. They want to help us have fun. They want to help us dance and sing. So here we go, Brother James. We're off.
If you didn't get one of the little angels, go ahead and raise your hand. We passed out a lot of them yesterday, but raise your hand if you haven't gotten any. So
Or a light.
Or a light, so Chris knows who to give them to. I like the idea of not letting our angels remain unemployed. We have angels all around us, and unless we're working with them, then they're unemployed. They can't get their work done, and their work is simply to help you get the joke. The thing I like about that parable is that Mother is saying to them, you told me a joke and you didn't even get it. I laughed out loud the instant I heard it. The idea that you could possibly be all the things that you believe yourself to be when I know who you really are. I know that you are the perfect holy child of God. And that's what we're going to focus on every moment, but especially during the celebration of this weekend. When Vicki and I came together, we said we're going to really celebrate. That, 10 years ago, we actually did this revival. It was the 50th anniversary of when Helen and Bill began to scribe A Course in Miracles. So we wanted to have a revival, and it was just a celebration that happened all over the world. And that's what we're going to be doing this weekend, celebrating. And one of the ways that we're going to celebrate is, check this out. We're going to stay in the moment. I'm kind of giving you a little hint. We're going to talk more about this later, but imagine if when you arrived here, there was no past. Everything you've ever done, your jobs, your history, even your family fades, and every idea that you've ever had about the future and your needs and your expectations dissolves, and all you have is now. And we're going to practice that in our thought, in the way that we share. So we'll get some practice early in the day before we actually launch into the retreat. But the idea is that I'm not going to talk to you about even where I came from. And I'm not going to ask you where you came from. We're going to try to do our best to stay in the moment. How are you right now? What's happening in your mind right now? Now, one of the things you're going to find is that you're not going to have much to talk about. Because so much of our conversation is all about then and when. Okay? But if it's right now, we're just going to look into each other's eyes and love one another. So even those that are on Zoom and YouTube, you can do this as well. That'll be a little way of joining with us today. But the peace of God is shining in us right now. So let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate that right now. And so together we say, Amen, 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 y punto. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. And those of you on Zoom, we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good